1971 music review. This is Message from the Country by The Move. Now, at this particular time, Jeff Lynne had joined the band and Wayne had left. And this signalled the final release by The Move because Lynne and Wood had decided to start a sort of side project which became ELO. So it was very much towards the end of the life of the band, and it's for many it's viewed as possibly their best. And I must admit, I hadn't heard this album, and I managed to find it amazingly thanks to the internet about a year ago, and I'm really pleased I have. It's like a medieval journey into progressive pop with a touch of gothic, and as we know, The Move were a pop band that had had tremendous success with singles, but their development as an albums band was mainly due to the eclectic mix that Roy Wood provided to this band. So basically, The Move, Jeff Lynne, Roy Wood and Bev Bevan on drums, with support from session musicians. The bass player apparently hardly appeared on this record and shortly left. His name escapes me. So let's have a look at what we've got here, and we'll go through it track by track. Now, there are various track lists around, so if this track list doesn't follow the same as yours, apologies, but this is how my download from YouTube laid out the music, and it corresponds with a review that I'm also using in collaboration with my own thoughts. So it started off with the title track, Message from the Country, heavy pop with nods to the Beatles. You'll hear me say that on more than one occasion. Throbbing lead guitar with a psychedelic edge and a really thudding bass and drums combo. There was also a touch of harmonies that begged comparison with the Beach Boys, although it was more anthem-like than them, and the outro of the vocal only echoed out. The bass drum riff is dark throughout, and it marches a little bit at the tail, but lyrically, well, I'm going to put the lyrics on the back of this video. Maybe something to do with illicit drugs. It certainly sounds a little bit like a trip. But anyway, let's move on to track 2, Ella James. Wood on lead vocals here. They spread the writing on this album. There's 4 tracks written by Wood, 4 by Lynne, 1 joint writing. So we get a very much of a mix of the vocal leads as well. Anyway, on track 2, Wood is the lead vocal. It's very up-tempo rocker. Almost a tinge of 10cc mould in it. There's some nice honky piano as well. And it's a sort of faster version of Brontosaurus, maybe. Lyrically, it's about groupies, I think, loving the money and nothing else. But take a listen to it. It's enchanting stuff. Track 3, No Time. There's a strange recorder in here, lots of medieval noises and acoustic guitar that comes through at the intro, and it slips very much into the style of John Lennon, really, vocally. It's a lovely acoustic ballad, and the harmonies, they really do sound like something off Abbey Road. It's very creative, a reflecting of Woods' risk-taking. And once again, suggestions of something drug-induced imagery. It's spacey, airy and psychedelic, and I love it. There's also a touch of medieval folk in it. Track 4 is called Don't Mess Me Up, and it's sang by Bevan, and it's a tongue-in-cheek sort of lyric about the warning of don't be taken in by a pretty girlfriend. It's very 50s music hall rock and roll, very Elvis inspired, and the doo-wop harmonies also are heard. Scotty Moore guitar is very prevalent here, and it's a delight, really. The 50s stomper with some nice piano that takes a nod to Little Richard. Bevan's vocals are really over the top, but I like it. So to track 5 then, Until Your Mama's Gone, another boozy stomper with Wood on vocals, lead vocals, generating this big band sort of sound with a liquid electric fuzz guitar mix, and it's a blues cacophony and hugely enjoyable. The vocal style sounds somewhat similar to Eddie Cochran, I feel, and the lyrics, well, it's about life, of course, and it's also about the notion that soon you're going to be on your own, away from the family, away from your mother, and that's going to create a challenge to you. Track 6, possibly one of the strongest on the album. It wasn't my idea to dance. Again, fiery vocals and a lot of passion from Wood. It's definitely got heavy rock symptoms in there. It's not Sabbath, but it's moving that way, but it has a medieval feel to it as well, which hints towards the emergence of ELO, and there's some strings in there with the mellotron in abundance. Ancient like harmonies, I heard, and it has that gothic feel typical of Wood's Indulgent, and it also reflects the increasing use that both Lynn and Wood were doing in experimentations with different sounds. And I'm sure I heard a little touch of bagpipes, but it may be the mellotron. Lyrically, well, your guess is as good as mine, although it sounds like a historical tale from somewhere, maybe a jester singing. To track 7 now, and it's The Minister, a Lynn's song, and Lynn's borrowed the riff from Paperback Writer on here, and it's an interesting song written by Bevan, but the vocals, as I say, is a little bit harsher than the Beatles. The music is a little coarser, there's more muscle in it than the Fab Four's sound. The bass much heavier, coupled with Bevan's pounding drum sound. So the keyboard feels like it's making the rhythm more heavy. And on to track 8, Ben Crawley's Steel Company. It's a bit of a send-up of an American country music railroad worker, I think, and it's got a sort of country Johnny Cash style, It's a bit of a hoot, and it's played with beauty, and the guitar is masterful. There's also a hint of gospel-style harmonies. It's a real macho song, tongue-in-cheek, about a wife waiting for her man to return home, but is prone to straying a little. To track 9, The Words of Aaron. It's got a great pop melody, full production, shimmering piano, and with sonic sounding guitar tones. And the songs have more majesty and pomp than the Fab Four. Pipes adorn the song as well, and I think there's some flute in there. It's a very creative song, lots of interesting ideas, and it's a long way from the Move's mid-60s pop hits. Lyrically, it suggests some sort of mysticism, and one might also nod a little bit to Jethro Tull's style. The final track, My Marge, is a real hoot. There's a piano intro to a cabaret-style music hall song. It's a sing-along. It's a musing duet vocal, one very high, one very low, and there's an oboe in there, I think. It's short and sweet, and the lyrics tell a tale of a saucy, naughty creature that enjoys some actions. Make of that what you wish. Now, it was re-released in 2005, and there were some bonus tracks added to the album. It'll be Over Tonight, and delightful pop song that was a single. Chinatown, another sing-along single. Down on the Bays, 50s rock and roll, a bit of a prelude to Roll Over Beethoven by ELO, and then the last track, Do You, really puts the pedal down towards the finale. Those were all sort of single selections. So Do You in particular certainly sounded a little bit like The Who, and it's a nice addition to a really great album. So summary, we've got two geniuses here. Lynn, of course, went on to great success with ELO. Wood, well, less so with Wizard, but we're now starting to realise what a genius he was. And let's not forget Bevan behind the sticks, who also had a considerable talent. The sleeve, on the sleeve was a white eagle flying between two mountain ranges. I'm not quite sure what that meant, but the US cover was slightly different, seemed to be influenced by Manfred Escher. So anyway, that's your lot. That's Message from the Country, the last release by The Move. Get to listen to it. It's great music.